Vladimir Putin could turn out the lights for millions of Brits with advanced cyber attacks, minister says. Russia will not think twice about turning the lights off for millions of people by unleashing a wave of debilitating cyber attacks, a senior cabinet minister will warn a NATO conference on Monday. Pat McFadden, Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, is expected to warn that Russia is primed to shut down power grids across Britain, and other NATO members and allies must not underestimate the threat it poses. Mr. McFadden, who oversees policy on national security and state threats, will also warn that cyber interference enables Russia to severely disrupt countries and represents the hidden war it is waging against Kyiv. The Sunday Telegraph reports, in a speech to the NATO Cyber Defense Conference at Lancaster House, the minister is expected to say, military hard power is one thing, but cyber war can be destabilizing and debilitating. With a cyber attack, Russia can turn the lights off for millions of people. It can shut down the power grids. This is the hidden war Russia is waging with Ukraine. He will add, given the scale of that hostility, my message to members today is clear. No one should underestimate the Russian cyber threat to NATO. The threat is real. Russia is exceptionally aggressive and reckless in the cyber realm. Mr. McFadden is expected to specifically call out UNIT, a Russian military unit that the government says was previously found to have carried out a number of attacks in the UK and Europe. There are gangs of unofficial hacktivists and mercenaries not directly under the Kremlin's control, but who are allowed to act with impunity so long as they're not working against Putin's interests, he will say. It comes after South Korea, NATO Indo-Pacific partner, was targeted in response to its monitoring of the deployment of North Korean troops to Kursk, where Russia is fighting against Ukraine. The attack has been widely attributed to a pro-Kremlin cyber gang, with Mr. McFadden warning that such groups act with disregard for geopolitics and with just one miscalculation could wreak havoc on our networks. Russia won't think twice about targeting British businesses in pursuit of its malign goals. It is happy to exploit any gap in our cyber or physical defenses, he will add. It means making sure that businesses and other civilian organizations are doing everything they can to lock their own digital doors. Their security is our security. The Cabinet Office Minister is expected to set out details of how the UK will seek to boost its protections against emerging cyber threats in a speech on Monday, as well as how the country is stepping up work with NATO allies. He and senior national security officials will also meet business leaders next week to discuss how they can protect themselves. The conference on cyber threats comes as Russia warned British support for Ukraine could lead to a collision between nuclear powers in a grave threat, as President Vladimir Putin vowed to launch more hypersonic missiles at targets in Ukraine. Andrei Kellen, Russia's ambassador to the UK, cited American support for Ukraine to use Western missiles against targets in Russia, backed by Britain and France, in his warning that this seriously escalates the situation and can lead to a collision between the nuclear powers. Amid rising fears of escalation, Ambassador Kellen told Sky News that Britain was now directly involved in the war in Ukraine after its Storm Shadow missiles were reportedly used to strike targets inside Russia. In recent months, Russia-linked hackers were responsible for a major cyber attack which impacted 2 NHS hospital trusts in London, causing more than 800 planned operations and 700 outpatient appointments to be postponed. A gang of Russian hackers, named Kelen, specifically targeted the IT systems of Synovis, which serves NHS pathology labs in hospitals and GP surgeries. And last month, a group called Noname 05716 brought disruption to the websites of Salford, Bury, Trafford and Tameside councils.